This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick, what's going on?
Well, it's like lots of other stuff, John. But hey, it's like I guess now we're slightly behind the times here in the sense we talked about Aquaman last time, but now we're talking about Spider Verse.
Yeah, and this movie's been out for a little bit, but it seems to be also appropriate material for this podcast.
Yeah, so I saw Aquaman, and I thought it was fine. Definitely not a bad film. I mean, and, like if you think that oh wow, an Aquaman film being good, it's like shocker. It's like then you're kind of an asshole, and yeah, you should go see this movie. But hey, we expect our superhero films to be good. That's like the baseline right here. So the fact that an Aquaman film is good, that's like that's like the minimum of our expectations right here. But for this animated Spider-Man spin-off miniseries movie to be great, to be genius, it's like holy shit, that was a surprise. Wouldn't you agree, John?
Absolutely. Honestly, when I did not have high expectations for this film, even when I first saw the trailer, I did not. I did not expect that. So I just came in with a level set. I had seen one of the trailers. Maybe I saw the trailer in front of a movie, but I don't watch a lot of. I don't get an opportunity to really look at trailers, so I knew the movie was coming out. But yeah, I would have to agree with you.
Yeah, and we maybe should have expected this probably should have been good because this is coming to us, even though they didn't direct it. This is coming to us from Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the guys who, among other things, gave us the Lego Movie and the 21 Jump Street films, like stuff that has been adapted from existing properties, but were also much better and far more inventive than we would have given them credit for otherwise.
Yep.
So yeah, so it's like and let's see, it was Lord who wrote. I believe it was Lord who wrote the screenplay, co-wrote the screenplay for this one, but they were kind of the brainchild, like the guys who push this film into existence, and it's got their fingerprints all over this. I mean, this is just a really fun, irreverent movie that it's throws in a lot of stuff from the Spider-Man mythos. Starting though with Miles Morales, who he's got a it's one thing to say that okay, yeah, he's the African American Latino Spider-Man, but he's also the Spider-Man of the Ultimate Universe, who was eventually incorporated into the Marvel Universe proper. So, but Miles is a great character in the sense that he's very relatable in the sense that he's he embodies a lot of your average teenage concerns in terms of just trying to do well at school. It's and just wondering where you're going to fit in life. And I think that they did a good job of communicating that. It's from the beginning of the film as well. You think so, John?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, this movie is about him.
Absolutely, and I love how the film starts off with it running by Peter Parker's origin story for the very last time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that that is in and of itself. It's it's like, well, we know you guys out there know about the spider thing, so
we know this is the
and it's played
Spider-Man's origin story at this point.
Yeah, it's played for laughs, which is great because that's what that's what it should be. Because if you have
and the fact that they checked Spider-Man 3's dancing sequence, which I love. That was brilliant.
Absolutely, but yeah, that's it's it's funny because our friend Sebastian, he saw the movie and he reluctantly saw his wife gets a screener copy and he's like, yeah, you gotta watch it, and he's like, I'm just burnt out on the whole thing, and I'm like, Yeah, I can understand how you.
We were telling him that needs to watch this at the party, weren't we?
Absolutely. Then he, he texts me his review. He did a review on his blog, and he's like, "Yeah, I really liked it." I was like, "Okay." And his initial thoughts were, after seeing it, the screener copy, he's like, "I wish I'd saw it in the theater." Now, and I think that though I can understand and sympathize with somebody who's like, "Hey, have you heard of Spider-Man?" No. Who is Spider-Man? How? You mean he's a man spider or what? You know what? No, he is a Spider-Man's been a part of, in fact, our lexicon. Here, and he's well known. So for this movie to go on ahead and talk is like, hey, so here's the story. You get it, and I think there's only one variation on that story.
Oh, like the fact that they turned this thing into a running joke,
Yeah.
not just a running joke, but also a validation by the end of the movie is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And well played.
Yeah, it's like it's like these guys the filmmakers they had they were clearly making this to have fun. They really had confidence in the story they were telling as well. I mean, to take that that the running joke about here's Spider-Man's origin story for the last time, told across 5 different other Spider people over the course of the film. It's like it's like that speaks of a certain amount of confidence in what you're doing. And that's and I really appreciated that because it's like hey, it's like that's not really a spoiler here. I mean, there's this is a film about different Spider people from various multiple realities over the in this film, and they're all really really fun and interesting too. Whether or not they're voiced by Captain Kirk or or our favorite Nicolas Cage. So yeah. I mean, they're all the different Spider people are really interesting, and they're also all canon to Marvel Comics as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess in terms of plot, I mean, yeah, it's the story itself is it's fine. I mean, it's Miles meets Spider-Man of his universe. Bad things happen. Then he meets a schlubby Spider-Man from an alternate universe, and learns more about being a hero. And then they meet different other Spider people, like Spider-Gwen, Penny Parker, the Sentai Spider hero from another universe, Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir, and John Mulaney as Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider Pig.
Yes.
Spectacular Spider Ham.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that's right. And that's where I was going to say the origin story's flipped a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because he's a he's a spider that was bitten by a radioactive pig.
Yes, it's all canon too because Peter Porker the Spectacular Spider Ham is actually the oldest of all of the Spider-Men in this film. Well, aside from the regular Peter Parker, because he's been around since I think Assistant Editor's Month, from back in the 80s, I believe. So so there you go. But I mean, it was just great to see everyone draw from lots of different areas of Spider-Man continuity. It's and even if the overall story is I wouldn't say it's kind of predictable in the sense that it involves Miles just kind of essentially just manning up as a hero. It's still done in a way that that his efforts feel earned over the course of the film. And I guess people who aren't familiar with Miles' origin story probably would have gotten more out of this than I did because, well, Uncle Aaron. Well, as soon as he showed up, I mean, I knew exactly what was going to happen there because just to toot my own horn here, I'm familiar with the comics, so I know his story.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz hands, you can't see them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I'm trying to figure out if the motivation for writing the story outside of just pure entertainment. It's like, okay, is it the is it the MacGuffin plot, or is it that we just wanted to have a whole bunch of Spider-Men in one universe?
Well, I guess it's a little bit of both, because I mean, it's like if you're going to throw in like all these different spider people, I mean, it makes sense to go for like some of the most distinctive. I mean, it's like you want like the spectacular spider Ham. I mean, that kind of like something that kind of sells itself. I mean, and get Nicolas Cage channeling Humphrey Bogart for Spider-Man Noir, and then you get the Japanese Sentai Spider, um, Penny Parker.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even though it's like, it's kind of funny because like, it's interesting because like, even though like when she was first introduced in like the Edge of Spider-Verse miniseries, it was actually Spider Gwen who preceded her by a couple issues that wound up getting her own series. So,
yeah, and I saw the movie twice. So the second time I saw it with Myron and Allison, um, and I noticed a few more things in it. Then I was like, oh, okay.
There
well,
are so many Easter eggs there. I mean, just from like looking at the stuff in the background.
So many, and yeah, and it's worth a second watch if you get it on disc. If you see it once on movie and you decide that the next time you're going to see it is at home, okay, it's worth it to try to pick up on those references. And I'm like, oh, hey, that's kind of interesting. Now the art style itself is really, it's CG, but it's it has, and I hate kind of putting this out there, but it's supposed to be a movie based on a comic strip. Mm-hmm. But you really don't see that come to fruition until Miles starts getting his spider sense, which is a pretty interesting way to really kind of bring that out. And I was like, okay, I kind of like that. It's like, because it brings the audience with you, with him.
Yeah, and then you get like a sound effect, like when Peter Parker throws the bagel at the Kingpin scientist, and you get sound effect bagel.
I love that. That was so awesome. I mean, I didn't need to, I saw that the first time through, but seeing it the second time is like, yep, that did say bagel. So yeah, and it has a lot of good humor, a lot of good references, and I think it opens the door now to possibly. I think I've heard that there is actually a sequel in the works. So or maybe they just said it, or if it's not, whether it's in production or not, I don't know.
Sony has basically expressed like a certain amount of overambition towards this, in the sense I've heard not only is there going to be a sequel, but also a female-centric spin-off as well. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, it's like, after seeing this one, I go see both. But it's like Sony's handling of the franchise has kind of like, okay, well, it's like I'll give you a certain amount of rope, but like these next ones had better be really good. So, but I mean, like in the end, like the post-credit sequence did kind of set things up for a potential sequel. Well, okay, not really, but it just set stuff up for more goofs as well, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There's some,
but as you're saying, like the animation style, I thought was just really fantastic. I mean, it's like it just kind of did a great job of just like communicating the action and giving the entire film like a distinct look as well. It's like it was like I was just like really just like sat through most of the first half of the movie just in amazement at what they were doing there. It's just really top-notch stuff there.
I agree, and the thing about it is that I think it might have even turned me off when I saw the kind of animation it was. It's kind of like CG ish with like cell kind of animation, but it's but I think I misjudged it, because when I watched it I was like, I didn't even care. It was and it's another one of those things. It's not one of those things where it's like the pacing is slow and I'm always looking at my watch either.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like surprised that I was like, oh, it's already, wow, we're almost done. It doesn't run by too quickly. It's just right.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'd say that, on the handling of Miles Morales' arc in the story itself, they did a fantastic job as well. You know, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what this is. you
Yeah.
know,
It's like it's a really solid origin story for Miles, and it's like when the actual sequel comes along, I'll definitely look forward to seeing that.
Mhm.
And I was also kind of impressed about it his origin kind of broadly sticks to how it's portrayed in the comics as well.
Mhm. Now the second, okay, yeah, and that's, um, although there's probably some slight differences, so that are probably going to be played for within the next one, because as the movie starts out, there are already elements that had happened that pulled that created some circumstances in Miles' universe. That's kind of the driver for the story.
Hmm.
Everything from the spider, to the first person he encounters, which was handled really well. You watch it the first time, you're like, oh wow, okay, we know what's going on. Who's that? Oh, okay, and then you understand that Miles begins to misinterpret. And there was a. I'm trying to think of really good. I know I've seen something like this before, but um, oh God, no! I can't believe that. That's absolutely not right. Um, uh, it's like, are you ready?
Yeah.
Superman Returns. Is it Superman Returns? No, it's the other Superman movie. It's the Man of Steel.
Okay.
Okay, when Zod first, you know, he's exposed to all of this stuff, he doesn't know how to deal with it. Like, it overwhelms his senses. Meanwhile, Clark Kent in that movie, he's lived in it for quite some time, so he's acclimated to his, to sensing, uh, his powers basically.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about, but it's been a while since I've seen the movie.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what winds up happening is like, Zod and his, I guess, generals. I don't know how else to, like the lady. I forget her
It
name.
works.
Yeah. So she, he knocks off the head thing, and all of a sudden she's like, and I don't know that this is similar, but being exposed to all of that at once confuses her. And that's kind of the analogy I'm drawing here.
Okay, because like I'm thinking about like when Miles was finding about his like really getting used to his powers. It's
Mhm.
like and like he just like wrecks the security guard's office, and
Mhm.
then just like goes around running around the side of the building, and just like yeah, this is like a really
It's
like
just,
good use of animation right there. I mean,
yeah.
it's like it would not have worked as well in live action. It just would have like seemed hokey.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was fantastic and funny. And as a matter of fact, it's like, well, here it is. But the scene where um, where he puts his hand on Gwen's shoulder,
Oh yeah, and
and
she's like,
and
and he can't let it go.
and he gets all sweaty,
Uh huh.
and he's like, "What was it? It's just puberty."
Okay,
And you're like, no, it's not. So anyway, I don't want to spoil any more for our listening audience, but I don't know. It's been
yeah,
out for a few weeks, I think,
true. It's like I kind
by
of want to
now.
like talk about how we should spoil the Doctor Octopus reveal because that was brilliant.
Yes,
That
yes, it was.
that was just like amazing in the
Hmm.
sense that it's like just some expert level misdirection like
Hmm.
on the part of the filmmakers because they introduce this character early on and you think oh yeah it's like I get it like she's like wacky scientist character,
Mhm.
and oh damn! Once like they finally make the big reveal, it's like wow, this actually makes a lot of sense,
Mhm.
and it's fantastic. I mean, it's like there's a lot of great stuff in there, but just the fact that they put one over they put one over on me. It's like someone who like knew a lot of the stuff about the character from the comics going in. It's like that. Like I have to say, like well done, everyone. Like
Yeah,
well done.
well done. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was like, wait, okay, got it. The connection of the dots there was like, it was kind of, you know, foreshadowed. I don't know how to say it, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like yeah, it's there if you like if you want to. It's one of those things where it makes sense. It only really makes sense like after the reveal comes, and
Mhm.
that's what makes it work so well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'll say this on as well, and this is more Miles stuff. They set up his family dynamic as fairly well as well, so I think that worked well, and
yeah,
played in the story very well.
yeah. It's like I mean, his dad in the comics like isn't a cop, but I think that particular that like that setup between him and his dad worked really nice, and it was just like really fun to see his dad say, "Yeah, come on, son, like come on, say
You
it."
gotta say it. You gotta
Gotta
say it.
Yeah, that's like that is what a dad would do right there. It's
Uh-huh.
like and yeah, it's like and also with his uncle Aaron as well. Even though it's like
Yeah.
in the comics, it's a lot more like complicated the relationship he has with his uncle there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely. I think that it's yeah, they did a good job of setting that up as well. And they didn't delve as deeply, but they gave you enough, I think.
Hmm.
So between his uncle and his father, things like that.
Very very much so.
Yep. Okay. So okay, so yeah, it's pretty. I would definitely recommend if you haven't seen it already, go ahead and see it. Is there any other comments you wanted to make about the film itself, or anything that
Ah,
you thought I know that I do know, and I haven't read them, but now I'm more interested in finding out about like some of this, the Spider Verse stuff, and I know that they do have some volumes out there about it.
okay. The actual comic this film takes its name from,
Mhm.
Spider Verse. It's not really. It's definitely not a Miles Morales centric story, even though he is in it. Spider Verse is basically the story of what happens when every Spider Man from every continuity, like like not just from like the film. I mean, the ones we see here are absolutely in this miniseries. But you've also got like the original Japanese Sentai Spider-Man from the '70s. You've got Hostess Fruit Pies advertising Spider-Man, like from the '80s. You got Spider-Man from the Marvel, like from the Capcom video games. You got Spider-Man from the comics. You got Superior Spider-Man, Doctor Octopus, like in this as well. You've got Spider-Man from the '60s animated series. You've got Spider-Man from the '90s and the aughts series as well. It's just basically every Spider person coming together to take on some really, really dull energy vampire villains, and that was like honestly kind of disappointing. I mean, it's like
Mm.
it that I mean, like it was fun to see how the series definitely had its moments, such as how it's the Otto Octavius Superior Spider-Man has to give the inspirational speech to the alternate universe Uncle Ben that shows up like late in the series to try and change things, and just like some of the really like out there Spider-Man variants that we get in the course of the series as well. But the main story, like involving like the Inheritors, is just kind of like these guys are just kind of like really dull like villains, and that was honestly kind of disappointing. So yeah, it's like I mean it's got its moments, but if you're looking for good comic books to read, you should probably just start with Miles Morales comics himself.
Yeah, I mean, I know. exactly what you're talking about, because I have I've looked at a few summaries of it, in general, and I think that it's like, yeah, okay, that does sound like that. It's interesting that they introduce all of these spider people,
Hmm.
and that's probably its more interesting part in certain parts, so.
Yeah, it was definitely smarter than to keep it, confined to like, just these. It's like, let's see, five alternate universe spider people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so so you have read this then? Is that correct?
Well, like I said, like the Spider Verse crossover,
Hmm.
like it's not really something that really like it's not really like the same like not really taking like this like that story for this miniseries for this movie. If anything, it's like you probably want to go out and read like Miles Morales' first adventure, because that actually lines up pretty well with what happens here. Because like it's basically about this kid who winds up getting spider powers. Doesn't want anything to do with them, but then finds out that this Peter Parker of his Spider Universe has died, and now he's got to has to step up and become a hero himself. I mean, granted, he doesn't do that with the help of other alternate universe Spider people, but the same beats are kind of broadly there, and there's more interesting dynamic with his uncle Aaron as well, because while I've generally enjoyed Miles's adventures in comics form, my biggest complaint is that his creator, Brian Michael Bendis, hasn't really found a way, or really never found a way to give him like a distinctive spider adventure. Bendis did a decent enough job of putting him through familiar Spider-Man stories involving like familiar Spider-Man characters, and giving him a nice supporting cast as well. But as far as like giving us a definitive, this is what like really sets Miles apart from like say Peter Parker type story, it's like he never really quite managed that. So, and that's on one hand that's disappointing, but generally it's like the stories with Miles's name above them, it's like are pretty entertaining read, and I would go ahead and recommend them, because like that leave they're available in like complete collections as well. So you want to go ahead and start with those. And then there's this new ongoing series from Saladin Ahmed. It's like, and I'm Javier Garron, which I'll be picking up once it's collected as well. Because hey, it's like I'd certainly like to see if they can deliver like say a definitive Miles Morales like Spider-Man story in comics form.
Okay, cool. So is there anything else that you would recommend? So we've kind of gone over the Spider-Verse crossover event and saying like, well, okay, it's interesting for this reasons, but the villains are a little bit blah. And
Yeah,
then you have the Miles Morales story, which is
yeah.
pretty much pretty much the focus of the is the thread, if you forgive the pun, that kind of links this whole movie together, basically, which borrows a lot from that, right?
Yeah, if you go through one or the other, I'd say definitely invest in Miles Morales' solo adventures. I mean, yeah, there is like the continuity issue if when you consider that hey, his earliest adventures were in the Ultimate Universe before he was adopted as part of the proper Marvel Universe proper. But don't worry, you can gloss over that. So
Hmm.
to a certain extent. So there you
Hmm.
go.
All right. So anything else you want to talk about this with
No,
respect to this? All right.
no, it's like you. How about you, John?
No, I'm good. And I was wondering what you would want to cover on our next podcast.
Well, I've put it off for long enough. So next time, it's the best of 2018 podcast.
Okay. All right. We'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters.